Did you know that by age 80, the average person loses up to 50% of their muscle mass compared to their younger years? This devastating condition, called sarcopenia, affects over 50 million seniors worldwide and is silently robbing millions of their independence every year. Over 300,000 seniors are hospitalized from falls directly linked to muscle weakness. The truly shocking part? Research from the Journal of Physiology shows that this massive muscle loss isn't inevitable at all. While most 70-year-olds struggle to climb stairs or even rise from a chair without assistance, there exists a remarkable group of seniors who maintain the muscle strength, function, and even appearance of people decades younger. These super-agers can often outperform individuals half their age in strength tests, continuing to hike mountains, play sports, and live completely independent lives well into their 90s. So, what's their secret? Well, scientists at the Mayo Clinic have identified specific habits that dramatically slow and even reverse age-related muscle loss, habits that 93% of seniors are completely unaware of. And the most critical habit, the one that researchers at Harvard Medical School found can rebuild lost muscle, even in your 70s and 80s, is something most doctors never mention to their older patients. In fact, many doctors still give advice that directly contradicts what science now shows is essential for maintaining strength as you age. Stay with us until the end, because habit number 1 is something you're probably doing wrong every single day. It is a common mistake that's activating genetic pathways that accelerate muscle deterioration. Correcting this one habit could be the difference between thriving independently or becoming dependent on others in your later years. Before we begin, let us know in the comments below where you're watching from, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Now, without any further ado, let's get started. Habit number 7, hormetic stressors. The most counterintuitive habit of 80-year-olds with exceptional strength is that they regularly expose themselves to certain forms of stress, what scientists call hormetic stressors. Hormesis refers to beneficial effects produced by exposure to low doses of agents that are otherwise harmful at higher doses. In plain English, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, literally, especially when it comes to your muscles. Research from the Buck Institute for Research on Aging found that short exposures to specific stressors activate cellular protection mechanisms that not only preserve muscle, but can actually enhance its function and growth, even in people well into their 80s. The first hormetic stressor superagers use is temperature variation. Brief exposure to cold, like ending showers with 30 to 60 seconds of cold water or brief cold plunges, activates brown fat, increases mitochondrial biogenesis, and triggers a hormone called adiponectin that protects muscle tissue from breakdown. Similarly, heat exposure through saunas or hot baths activates heat shock proteins that repair damaged muscle cells and prevent protein degradation. A study from Finland found that regular sauna use, 4 to 7 times weekly, was associated with 40% less muscle loss over a 10-year period compared to non-sauna users. The second hormetic stressor is intermittent fasting or time-restricted. By condensing eating into an 8 to 10-hour window daily, superagers trigger autophagy, the cellular cleaning process that removes damaged components and improves muscle quality. Research from the Salk Institute found that this practice enhances muscle mitochondrial function by up to 10% in just 12 weeks, even without weight loss. The third hormetic stressor involves brief, intense muscle contractions. Superagers regularly perform what exercise scientists call overcoming isometrics, which is pushing or pulling immovable objects with maximum effort for 5 to 10 seconds. These brief but intense contractions send powerful signals to muscle cells to maintain their size and function without causing excessive wear and tear on joints. What makes these stressors so effective is their intermittent nature. They must be brief, followed by ample recovery time. When implemented correctly, these controlled stressors activate longevity genes like leptin and FOXO that specifically preserve muscle tissue during aging. Try to start small with these practices and gradually build tolerance. Remember, the goal is mild, beneficial stress, not overwhelming your system. Habit number 6, strategic protein timing. Most seniors focus on how much protein they eat, but research shows when you consume it might be even more important. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at using protein, which is a phenomenon scientists call anabolic resistance. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that seniors need protein strategically timed throughout the day, rather than concentrated in one meal, as most seniors do. Here's the crucial part. Your muscles have a window of opportunity for protein synthesis that lasts about 3 to 4 hours after each meal. When you consume all your protein at dinner, like most seniors do, you're missing opportunities for muscle building during the rest of the day. The ideal approach: aim for 25 to 30 grams of high-quality protein at each meal, spaced evenly throughout the day. This means breakfast should include protein sources like eggs, Greek yogurt, or a protein smoothie, not just toast or cereal. Lunch and dinner should continue this pattern with lean meats, fish, dairy, or plant-based proteins like beans and noodles for vegetarians. This timing strategy alone can increase muscle protein synthesis by up to 25% compared to eating the same amount of protein concentrated in fewer meals. Participants in a 12-week University of Texas study found participants who followed this approach gained an average of 1.2 pounds of muscle despite making no other lifestyle changes. Remember, it's not just how much protein you eat, but when you eat it that determines whether your muscles grow stronger or continue to waste away. Habit number 5. Vitamin D optimization. Did you know that over 80% of seniors are deficient in what scientists now call the muscle vitamin? Vitamin D deficiency is epidemic among older adults, and it's silently sabotaging your strength. Here's why this matters. Vitamin D isn't just for bone health. Researchers at Harvard discovered that vitamin D directly activates genes responsible for muscle protein synthesis and growth. Your muscle cells have specific vitamin D receptors that, when activated, trigger pathways that build and preserve muscle tissue. Even more surprising, a groundbreaking study published in JAMA Internal Medicine found that seniors with optimal vitamin D levels had 25% more muscle strength than those with deficiencies. They also had significantly better balance, coordination, and reaction time, which are all critical factors for preventing falls. The superagers who maintain youthful strength into their 80s almost universally have optimal vitamin D levels above 40 ng/ml, while the average senior has levels below 20 ng/ml, which is classified as deficient. So, how can you optimize your vitamin D? While sunlight exposure helps, it becomes less effective as we age, because our skin produces 50% less vitamin D from sunlight by age 65 compared to age 20. Most seniors need supplementation, but the standard 600 international units, IU, daily recommendation is woefully inadequate. Research suggests most seniors need 2,000 to 4,000 IU daily to reach optimal levels, though this should be personalized based on blood testing. Combine this with vitamin D-rich foods like fatty fish, egg yolks, and fortified dairy, and aim for 15 to 20 minutes of direct midday sun exposure when possible. One critical warning: vitamin D works synergistically with vitamin K2, which directs calcium to your bones rather than your arteries. Without adequate K2 found in fermented foods and certain animal products, high-dose vitamin D supplementation could potentially contribute to arterial calcification. This essential relationship between vitamins is rarely discussed but could make all the difference in your results. So, ask your doctor for a vitamin D blood test to determine your current levels. Then work to optimize them above 40 ng/ml for maximum muscle preservation. Habit number 4. Daily inflammation management. So, what do superagers with exceptional muscle strength have in common? Well, they all have remarkably low inflammation levels. Scientists now recognize that chronic low-grade inflammation, often called inflammaging, is one of the primary drivers of muscle loss in seniors. This silent inflammatory process activates molecular pathways that break down muscle protein faster than your body can rebuild it. Even more concerning, inflammation blocks anabolic signals that would normally stimulate muscle growth after exercise or protein consumption. A landmark study from Tufts University found that seniors with the highest inflammation markers lost muscle mass 3 times faster than those with the lowest levels, regardless of their exercise or protein intake. The superagers who maintain youthful strength follow specific anti-inflammatory strategies that most seniors overlook. First, they prioritize sleep quality, getting 7 to 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep in completely darkened rooms. Sleep deprivation increases inflammatory cytokines by up to 40%, directly accelerating muscle breakdown. Second, they're meticulous about gut health. Recent research from the University of California found that age-related changes in gut bacteria directly contribute to systemic inflammation. Superagers consume diverse fiber sources daily, eating from 30+ different plant foods weekly, along with fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, and sauerkraut that contain natural probiotics. Third, they're strategic about exercise intensity. While consistent movement is crucial, excessive high-intensity exercise can actually increase inflammation in seniors. Superagers typically exercise at moderate intensity most days, with short high-intensity bursts just 1 to 2 times weekly. Finally, they incorporate specific anti-inflammatory compounds consistently, particularly omega-3 fatty acids, 2 to 3 grams daily from fatty fish or supplements, curcumin from turmeric, and polyphenol-rich foods like berries, green tea, and extra virgin olive oil. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that this combination reduced inflammatory markers by up to 29% in just 12 weeks. So, try to monitor your inflammation with a simple blood test, measuring high-sensitivity C-reactive protein, HSCRP. Superagers typically maintain levels below 1.0 mesuing naturel, while the average senior has levels 3 to 5 times higher. Habit number 3, taking specific vitamins daily. While most nutrition advice focuses on macronutrients like protein, carbs, and fats, superagers with exceptional muscle strength pay meticulous attention to specific micronutrients that directly support muscle function and protein synthesis. These critical nutrients act as enablers that allow your body to fully utilize the protein you consume and maximize the benefits of exercise. Without them, you can eat plenty of protein and exercise regularly, yet still lose muscle mass. First and foremost is magnesium, what researchers at the University of Vermont call the forgotten electrolyte for muscle health. Over 70% of seniors are deficient in this mineral, which is required for over 300 enzymatic reactions related to muscle function. A 2021 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that seniors with optimal magnesium levels have 30% greater grip strength and significantly better physical performance compared to those with even mild deficiencies. Superagers typically consume magnesium-rich foods daily, dark leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and dark chocolate, and often supplement with highly bioavailable forms like magnesium glycinate or threonate. Next is creatine, which is not just for young bodybuilders. Research from McMaster University found that creatine supplementation in senior strength training using this approach increased muscle mass, strength, and cognitive function significantly more than strength training alone. A daily dose of 3 to 5 grams can increase muscular energy production and water content in muscle cells, creating an anabolic environment. Third is an often overlooked B vitamin, methylated B12. As we age, our ability to absorb B12 decreases dramatically due to reduced stomach acid. Even more concerning, common medications like metformin and proton pump inhibitors further deplete this essential vitamin. A deficiency directly impacts muscle energy production and nerve function. Superagers typically supplement with methylcobalamin, the active form, rather than the cheaper cyanocobalamin found in most multivitamins. Equally important are the mineral cofactors like zinc, selenium, and chromium, which directly support protein synthesis and insulin sensitivity, crucial for delivering nutrients to muscle tissue. Comprehensive study from Tufts University found that seniors with optimal levels of these trace minerals maintained up to 22% more muscle mass over a 5-year period compared to those with deficiencies. Rather than taking a one-size-fits-all multivitamin, superagers typically get micronutrient testing to identify their specific deficiencies and supplement accordingly. This personalized approach ensures they're addressing their unique biochemical needs rather than wasting money on nutrients they don't need. Habit number 2, preserving your neuromuscular junctions. Here's something fascinating that most seniors never hear about. Muscle loss isn't just about the muscle fibers themselves. It's often the connection between your nerves and muscles that deteriorates first. These connections, called neuromuscular junctions, are like the electrical outlets that power your muscles. When they deteriorate, a process that accelerates dramatically after age 60, your brain can't effectively communicate with your muscles, regardless of how much protein you eat or how often you exercise. Groundbreaking research from the University of Michigan found that superagers with exceptional strength have remarkably well-preserved neuromuscular junctions compared to typical seniors. Even more exciting, scientists discovered specific practices that can maintain and even restore these critical connections. The first practice involves specific movement patterns that require precision and coordination. Activities like Tai Chi, dance, tennis, or even ping pong have been shown to strengthen neural pathways to muscles in ways that simple walking or traditional strength training cannot. These activities force your nervous system to recruit muscle fibers in precise patterns, reinforcing the neuromuscular junctions. A study in the Journal of Physiology found that seniors who engaged in coordination-demanding activities twice weekly had 31% better preservation of neuromuscular junctions compared to those who only performed conventional exercise. The second practice involves compounds that specifically support neuromuscular health. Alpha-lipoic acid and acetyl L-carnitine have been shown to protect the nerve-muscle connection from oxidative damage. Even more promising, certain forms of vitamin B1, specifically benfotiamine and huperzine A from Chinese club moss, can enhance acetylcholine, which is the primary neurotransmitter that activates your muscles. Superagers also incorporate specific breathing practices that activate the vagus nerve, which helps regulate neuromuscular communication. Simple practices like box breathing, inhaling for 4 counts, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, holding for 4, for just 5 minutes daily has been shown to improve neural activation of muscles by up to 15%. Perhaps most fascinating is the connection between cognitive engagement and neuromuscular preservation. A landmark study from Columbia University found that seniors who regularly engaged in complex cognitive activities maintained significantly better muscle function. The researchers concluded that challenging your brain directly benefits your neuromuscular system through shared neural pathways. By implementing these neuromuscular preservation strategies, superagers maintain the critical connections that allow their brains to effectively recruit muscle fibers well into their 80s and beyond. Habit number 1: progressive resistance training. We've arrived at the single most important habit that separates 80-year-olds with exceptional strength from their peers, which is the practice that researchers at Tufts University called the most effective anti-aging medicine ever discovered: progressive resistance training. But not the way most seniors approach it. The superagers with strength levels decades younger than their actual age practice resistance training, with specific protocols that directly combat the biological mechanisms of muscle loss. Here's the fundamental truth most seniors never learn. Your muscles operate by the use it or lose it principle, but with an important caveat: they need to be challenged progressively to be preserved. Walking, water aerobics, or using the same light weights week after week simply isn't enough to maintain muscle mass past 60. What makes the superagers' approach different? First, they focus on intensity rather than duration. Research from McMaster University found that seniors who performed high-intensity resistance training, working to near failure twice weekly, gained more muscle than those doing moderate intensity training 5 times weekly. The key factor is reaching what exercise physiologists call momentary muscular failure, the point where you couldn't perform another repetition with good form. This sends powerful anabolic signals that activate muscle protein synthesis for up to 72 hours following exercise. Second, superagers prioritize compound movements that engage multiple muscle groups simultaneously: squats, deadlifts, rows, presses, and pulls, all of course modified appropriately for mobility and joint health. These movements trigger a greater hormonal response than isolation exercises like bicep curls or leg extensions. Third, they implement progressive overload, which means gradually increasing the resistance or difficulty over time. Your muscles adapt to whatever stress you place on them, so using the same weights month after month leads to stagnation. Superagers track their workouts and continually challenge themselves to do slightly more than before. Fourth, they prioritize the eccentric or lowering phases of exercises, which research shows are particularly effective for building strength. In older adults, Slowly lowering weights creates greater tension in muscle fibers with less stress on joints. What's truly remarkable is how effective this approach is, even for those starting late. A groundbreaking study from the University of Alabama found that subjects in their 70s who began progressive resistance training gained an average of 3.3 pounds of muscle and increased strength by 35% in just 12 weeks. Equally impressive, these changes were accompanied by improvements in blood glucose control, bone density, and cognitive function. So, what is the most common mistake seniors make? Well, it's believing that resistance training is dangerous or unnecessary at their age. In reality, not performing resistance training is far more dangerous, as it allows the cascade of muscle loss to continue unabated, eventually leading to frailty, falls, and loss of independence. If you implement only one habit from this entire video, make it progressive resistance training. Start with professional guidance to ensure proper form. Begin at appropriate intensity for your current fitness level, and gradually build from there. Even 2 30-minute sessions weekly can dramatically change your trajectory of aging. There you have it. The 7 evidence-based habits that explain how some 80-year-olds maintain the muscle strength of people decades younger. Start today with whatever habit feels most accessible to you, then gradually incorporate the others. Your future self will thank you for the investment you're making now in your long-term strength and independence. Now, we want to hear from you. Which of these 7 habits are you already practicing? And which one surprised you the most? Do you know someone in their 70s or 80s who has exceptional strength for their age? Share with us your experiences and opinions in the comments below. We love to hear them. Thanks for watching.